I actually like the way the champion select was before, because the only way you were ever going to get high elo back then was if you're able to play every single role like competently. And like nowadays, like if you have players that are like strictly bot lane players and you see them play another role, you're like, this guy has no idea what he's doing in this game.
This is Azento from Esports Heaven, and I have here with me WildTurtle from Flyquest. Now, you guys almost just perfected Team Liquid, and Doublelift had played a mage bot laner. What do you think about mages in the bot lane?
I mean, I think mages in the bot lane are normally pretty good. They're definitely like harder to play in terms of like the skill caps and etc. But I think like a big reason why Liquid lost that game wasn't because of Doublelift Vladimir. It was more of I think they just made a lot of mistakes as a team, and then we didn't even do like anything special. I'd say like we just kind of played our game and we just did our stuff, and Team Liquid just kind of fell over and just gave us everything. Just kind of like our game against C9 actually yesterday, where we were kind of the aggressors as well, but we messed up really hard. I don't think C9 did anything to win, but they just destroyed us. Yeah.
So you've heard about the whole reckless thing of him benching himself.
Yeah.
So what do you think about ADCs or just players in general benching themselves, or making it to where there's a way for the team to kind of shore up the weaknesses of a player's champion pool? Do you think that's a good strategy just overall?
I mean, if you're not confident enough as a player to play these AP majors, which is actually really complicated and really hard, and if someone else in the bot lane is like able to play these champions, like you might have a really hard time. Like I can see why some players would bench themselves instead of actually like trying to learn and play it, because learning how to play like Heimerdinger is like extremely hard. Learning how to play like most of these AP champions are actually really hard. And for me, like I'm like kind of known for playing like mages and like stuff like that because I did in the past. And it even took me like a while to adapt to, because like damn, I'm like, wow, my AP champions are not good right now. But in my case, I was pretty confident I can get good at these AP champions again, because I do have the background of playing casters before.
So do you think maybe in part, because I know you're an old school player, I am too. I played since season 1. So back in the day, you remember that there wasn't a a lobby to like select your role, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it was all about pick order.
It was all about pick order.
Yeah. So do you think the current generation of players kind of gets
Limited?
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I actually like the way the champion select was before, because the only way you were ever going to get high elo back then was if you're able to play every single role like competently. And like nowadays, like if you have players that are like strictly bot lane players and you see them play another role, you're like, this guy has no idea what he's doing in this game. And that's kind of what's happening like a lot for me, at least, because like back in the day, like I was like good at like 2 or 3 roles. Like I kind of played everything. But there's definitely some roles where if I got stuck on, I'd be like, damn, I gotta like raise my skill level on this role, because like I'm gonna lose my team every single time if I'm like at the bottom of the food chain for the pick order. So
yeah, it's like once your last pick,
yeah,
it's like automatic support.
Automatic support, exactly. Yeah, and like sometimes you get the good feeling like another support's on your team. You're like, damn, nice.
Yeah.
He's covering that part for me.
So
I actually like that way of champion select, because it kind of like gave you a feeling of like who was good on your team, and you're like, damn, I got this player on my team, so I can give him my role or something like that.
Oh yeah, because the top pick was
the highest elo on your
MMR.
team. Yeah. So I actually really like that system. Maybe because in that system I was always at the top, and I always
Okay, so along those lines, there's a big topic now with Doublelift when he released his video talking about kind of Riot's patching philosophy and how it's a little bit fast-paced. And you've been playing the game for a really long time, and it seems like before Riot's patching was it wasn't so much focused on fixing things, it was more so just creating new stuff, right?
Yeah. So that, like, to be honest, I like, no offense to Riot, but I actually don't like the way they patch. Like, they're patching around like what other people find that's OP, like instead of like patching on their own ideals. You know what I mean? Like so like if a player found something that was really OP and they didn't like that, they'd be like they would just nerf it instead of like letting people have fun with it, right? And like and I feel like a great way to counteract like something that's like super OP is just to like add something new to the game, add something fresh, right? Like buff a champion, why not? Like, so I just don't understand that because like for me as a player, like when I see my favorite champions getting nerfed, it just like turns me off completely. I'm like, damn, that was like so much fun, and now when I play that champion, it's like complete dog shit.
Yeah.
And like I really hate that feeling, and I really just hope like Riot would just literally just buff things, like leave things as OP as they are, just like do other stuff with it. But that's like something they never did, and that was like something that's always frustrated me. Like I love the Ezreal Corki meta, and like they just completely changed how Corki was as a champion. They even made him like an AP champion now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, like right, they do some troll things sometimes.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember, like for that instance, Corki or even Master Yi, they nerfed his AP ratios to the gutter.
I mean, just leave things as fun as they are. Like people play them because they're fun, but if you nerf them, like I know like a bunch of my friends who just completely stopped playing the game because they couldn't play a certain champion anymore, and that I really don't like hearing that because like I know Riot, like obviously some things do need nerfs and like sometimes they do, but you can definitely balance in a different way where you actually buff other things as well and like add new things to the game instead of just like, you know, making everything weaker over time. Like League is definitely like gone a game where just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like there's any buffs, and like if there are buffs, like they're so small.
Well, okay, so switching tones, there's also been a hot topic of pro players having their own kind of server, or at least a local kind of LA server to get better ping. Yeah, it's a pretty big
topic right now.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Because the leader or head of Face It Pro League, which is a league for Counter-Strike, and it's kind of like a different ladder system because, I mean, Counter-Strike's ladder system is pure garbage. So they set up their own system, and it has better ping, it has voice comms even, so you can kind of interact with pros too if you're like an aspiring pro.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on just a private server, you know, just maybe even restrict it, gate it to like D1 can only access that server, like what?
So for me, like, I think it's like a good idea all in all, but the biggest problem is I think like if we were to split these servers and like have all the pros play on like with one server, like the solo queue is just gonna die out, you know. And like I don't think Riot really wants that to happen, because if all the pros started playing on like a Face It League, like their own league, and they play in their own server, and they're strictly to that, I just think like the solo queue back on like the live server would just like slowly dwindle down. Like you won't see any new talents. And I don't know how big like the pool of aspiring pros would actually be for that. So it's really hard for me to say right now, because like even right now I think like there's not too many high elo players already, you know, like at this point. And to like split the player base into like the pro player base and stuff. Like I'm obviously pro it because like I love playing on low ping, and I love playing with like only good players. Like sure, I love that. But I think to the general public it might be kind of worse, and I don't know like the cutoff, because like D1 players cannot compete with challenger players, to be frank.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all I really have for you.
Cool.
Thanks for your time. This has been Azento from Esports Heaven and Flyquest ADC WildTurtle. Thank you.
Cool.